Welcome back. Now joined by Vikings Pro Bowl quarterback Kirk Cousins, who maybe 8 seconds before we came back on the air here, I heard a bunch of screaming in the background. So I know you, my friend, are going through exactly what I'm going through at home. You got two little boys. Is one right off camera there?
That's right. Yeah, Cooper's right off camera. Come here, Cooper. Say hi to the lovely people at Fox Sports.
Oh, what's up, buddy?
This is Cooper. He's my 2.5-year-old.
That's really
Keeps
cute.
me busy. And then we've got Turner as well. He's a year old. He's on a walk with my wife right now. So Cooper and Turner are making this COVID-19 time very busy, but it's been fun. And we're having a lot of daddy-son time, aren't we, buddy? All right.
So quarantine's been good, Kirk?
Yeah, we've been good. We're blessed. Fortunately, I don't have anybody close to me who has contracted the virus, but certainly feel for how much this has affected so many people's lives, and just trying to do the best we can to get things back to normal as soon as possible.
Kirk, I'm glad to hear that you and your family are well and safe, and obviously that's a beautiful little boy, 1/4 of your in-house family. To turn the page to football for a bit, I'll admit I was very surprised when I got the text alert Kirk Cousins has agreed to a contract extension with the Vikings, because given the fact that they didn't have the right to franchise tag you after this year, or they weren't going to be able to, I just anticipated even if you wanted to stay with Minnesota, you were going to allow your contract to expire to maximize dollars as much as possible. Why did you choose to take the contract extension to stay in Minnesota a year earlier than you had to make that decision?
Well, to make the decision now opened up some cap space for the team, so that certainly gives us an ability to win, which is what it's all about, especially at this stage in my career. And I didn't need to look around. Minnesota is where we want to be. That's where I want to play. And just didn't really feel a need to prolong the inevitable. And so it was great for the team, great for us that the team was willing to make it happen as well.
Kirk, you said you've got 2-hour virtual meetings 4 days a week. How have those been going? And do you think that you can get real chemistry with your team in a virtual setting?
Well, the chemistry part is a little difficult, but it's been productive. We've been getting through all of our installs, and the technology is amazing. We can ask questions and have great conversation. We pretty much are, in our individual position meetings most of the time, although we do break into team meetings on occasion, and we're getting a lot done. I think it'll be important as we get closer to July, if the rules around the country start to loosen up, that we as players find a way to connect with each other, get to know some of the new draft picks, and spend time together, because you want to make up for lost time this spring.
For Kirk, for the teams who have their quarterbacks and receiving core sort of intact returning, I suppose the chemistry is not an issue for you. You did lose Stefon Diggs to Buffalo this year. You texted him. You said he's as good as any receiver you've ever played with. Can you talk to us about the void that not having him leaves on your team now heading into this season?
Well, it is tough to lose a player of his caliber, and that's why with the first-round draft pick, we drafted Justin Jefferson from LSU. We understood that it is not easy to replace a Stefon Diggs, and so you go use a first-round draft pick to try to do that. Justin, I'm excited to get him in here. Again, that's one of the challenges with this time, is you don't get the work with a guy like Justin to get him caught up to speed. So the message to Justin has been, hey, you've got to be getting yourself ready best you can. But we've been watching a lot of cut-ups from last year. And if Justin's watching those cut-ups, he knows he has big shoes to fill. And I'm excited for him to get the chance to fill them.
Kirk, for you, listen, it's not a secret. The fair or unfair knock on you had been really good numbers against the best teams, doesn't have the best games. So how vindicating was it for you to go into New Orleans in your first playoff start in a few years, go toe-to-toe with Drew Brees, not only win the game, but throw the game-winning, walk-off touchdown pass to our friend of the show, Kyle Rudolph? What was that moment and possible vindication like for you?
It's a special moment. Anytime you win a playoff game, that's just not easy to do, especially on the road. And that was my first one. Hopefully it won't be my last, but that was my first playoff win. So as a quarterback, that's a big step in your career. Through my entire career, going back to high school, through college, through the pros, it's always been a challenge to climb a mountain, try to achieve a goal. And then when you get there, you realize there's just more mountains to climb. And winning a playoff game was much the same way. You've been chasing that goal, you accomplish it, and then you realize really the ultimate goal is a world championship, and that's where we're still trying to get to. So that's the goal now for 2020 and beyond, is to try to win more playoff games and get to the final game and then win it.
So Kirk, building off of Nick's question, you've got a rematch of that game on Christmas. Now, when the schedule comes out, what's your process? I know that you know your opponents, but do you look at all of the games and say, all right, here's my totality plan for the entire season? Or is it more a week by week? Or there's certain games that you circle, like I'm going to train extra hard for this? What's your process?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. Like you said, we know our opponents before they release the schedule. So it's not so much who we're playing, but when, what time of day, what day of the week, and what's the order. And so you always look, okay, who's week one? Who do we start with? And under what circumstances are we starting? So we're at home against Green Bay. Obviously, not a lot of need to look beyond a week one game at home against Green Bay. I mean, that's a big one to be able to get off to the right start. But certainly, you mentioned it, Christmas Day on a Friday against the New Orleans Saints. I don't think I played on a Friday since high school. So that'll be fun, something different. To play on Christmas Day in front of a national audience will be a special opportunity. And then you do look at, what are some of the night games, some of the road games. Going to Seattle on Sunday night will be exciting. And then really just understanding that we got to find a way to win as many as we can. You always say, try to win all your home games, steal a few on the road. And if you can do that, usually you'll find a way into the playoffs. But certainly the goal is to win the NFC North and by doing so, get a home playoff game.
Kirk, these are crazy times we're living through right now. We have a global pandemic, yes. Also, yes, it's kind of been a crazy offseason in the NFL. Tom Brady left the Patriots, Gronk unretired. This could be Aaron Rodgers last season in Green Bay, talks of him leaving. As a player who's been watching everything this season, was there one move, one trade, one retirement or unretirement that happened that surprised you the most that you just didn't see coming?
Well, it's been fun that even when games aren't being played, there's still football news and football discussion, and it's worthwhile discussion, whether it's free agency or the draft. I think that's fun. I think the NFL has done a great job of making the offseason very watchable and very interesting. And I found free agency specifically at the quarterback position this year to be very intriguing because of the big names that usually aren't there and because of the movement that happened. And I think of Tom Brady going to Tampa probably as the one that I just didn't see happening. A lot of people would ask me when my season ended, what do you think is going to happen? And my expectation was that he would stay. But the fact that he goes to Tampa just goes to show once again how it's hard to predict what direction things will go in the NFL, and you have to be ready to react. And you can never think that you have it all figured out. This league is a crazy league.
Kirk, one of those free agent quarterbacks is Dak Prescott. Now, he got franchise tagged, which is very rare for a quarterback. It would be damn near unprecedented if not for the man we're sitting across from, Kirk Cousins. It's kind of a multi-layered question here. When you first were franchise tagged in Washington, did you believe, okay, this is a placeholder, a deal's going to get done, and obviously ended up not getting done? And the second part is, what advice would you give for Dak Prescott, as you're one of the only people at his position that's gone through this?
Yeah, for me, the franchise tag was just the natural next step. I didn't know, where it would go from there month by month, but it was certainly the natural next step. So it made sense when it was placed on me, really both years. My advice to Dak would just be, he's in a good spot. I think if he has a long-term, opportunity that he signs, that's a win for him. I think that's a win for the Cowboys. He's played himself into the position he's in. But I think he knows as well that were he to play on the franchise tag, that's not the end of the world. And I think whether he plays on a one-year deal or a long-term deal, I think he's going to be a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for a long time. And it's just a matter of, figuring out the contractual details around that. But I I don't see a world where Dak Prescott isn't the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for many years to come. How we get there, we can talk about, but I think he's the long-term guy there. It's just a matter of how.
Kirk, you were taken in the 4th round. In this latest NFL draft, we had some big names taken in the 1st round, and we had some quarterbacks going a little bit later. What would be your advice to those quarterbacks taken a little bit later and how they can succeed in the league?
I appreciate you asking that question, because in 2012, I was that guy, and I was looking for that advice. And I'm grateful that everything did work out for me. I think the key for those players is to just understand that, it would have been nice to be a 1st-round pick. You do have a little bit more of a red carpet, and you're going to get a few more opportunities to prove yourself than if you're a later-round pick. But as a later-round pick, you got to be ready to go. When you do get a moment, whether it's a rep in practice or a moment in a preseason game, you've got to be ready to seize it. And so whether it's virtual meetings or when we do get back together at practice, do all you can to wear out your coaches, to learn the playbook so that when your opportunity comes, you are ready. And understand that, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Now, you're going to have your ups and downs. Just stay the course and remember that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And if you can be a tough person mentally and physically, usually good things happen to you in this league.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.